Hey, friend, and welcome back to Leading with Grace. I am Tanika M. Asiedu, and I'm so grateful that you are here. Today, on episode 6, I want to talk to the person who feels like life has gotten loud. Not just busy, but actually loud. Your responsibilities are loud, your thoughts are loud, your ideas are loud, your calendar, your notifications, your family, your business goals, your ministry assignment, your desires may even grow to be loud. And somewhere in the middle of all of that, you're trying to hear God clearly, make wise decisions, show up well, and not completely lose yourself in the process. So today I want to say this. You do not need more noise. You need alignment. You don't need another random piece of advice or to know what actually needs your attention next. You don't need to keep collecting information while your life remains scattered. You need clarity, structure, and a rhythm that supports the season that you're currently in. Because when life is loud, alignment becomes protection. It protects your peace and your purpose. Alignment protects your capacity and it protects your yes. Alignment protects your ability to lead, serve, build, and steward well. And my friend, this is where a lot of high capacity women, business leaders, entrepreneurs, ministry leaders, this is where we get stuck because we're gifted, we're responsible, but we're also needed and full of vision. We're carrying families and faith and work and business, ministry, leadership, and our personal growth. So we're also tired, but not because we're weak or because we're lazy, but because we have too many open loops and not enough structure around what matters the most. And that is what we're going to talk about today. One of the statements that I often say, especially if you've been around for a little while, is that clarity is spiritual, confusion is usually structural. And I want to bring that into this conversation because sometimes we assume confusion means that we're doing something wrong spiritually. We think maybe I need to pray harder or I need to boost my faith. I missed God. I didn't hear him or I'm behind. Maybe I'm not disciplined enough. And I want to be careful here because yes, prayer matters. Your faith, your obedience, your surrender, it matters. But sometimes the issue is not that you have not prayed. Sometimes the issue is that you have not paused long enough to organize what is actually in front of you. Sometimes the issue is that everything has equal access to your attention, or that you're carrying too much in your head. Sometimes the issue is that you are trying to make decisions without clear structure, or that your life has grown, but your rhythms have not grown with it. Let me say that one again. Sometimes your life has grown, but your rhythms have not grown with it. That's why the same old schedule, it does not work anymore. It doesn't fit who you currently are. That's why the same old systems, they don't hold you anymore. And that's why the same old way of deciding or planning, communicating, and managing your responsibilities feels stretched. You're not crazy. You're not failing. You may simply be in a season where your structure has to mature with your assignment. Today, I want to give you a simple way to think about alignment. And this connects directly to something that I have been building and building through TMAC called the Align Assessment. The Align Assessment, it's a free tool and it's designed to help you identify where you are feeling scattered, where structure may be missing, and what part of your life, your leadership or your work needs attention next. Because sometimes you know something's off, right? But you don't know what to call it. You know, you feel overwhelmed, but you don't know if, if it's even a priority or a priority issue. I know you feel stuck, but you do not know if it's a decision issue. You may even feel inconsistent, but you don't know if it's a rhythm issue or not, or disconnected, but you don't know if it's an alignment issue. And that is why these tools matter and why I love creating them. Not because a tool fixes your life overnight, but because it's there to help give you language. It's there to help you to see the patterns, and the right tools can help you stop guessing and actually start naming what needs to shift. So when I talk about align, I'm talking about a practical way to move from vague overwhelm into clear next steps. And align stands for access, locate, identify, get clear, and normalize rhythms. Let me walk through those because I believe this will help somebody today. Number one, access. What is actually going on? The first step is access. This is where you stop pretending everything is fine when you know it's not. And I don't mean that in a dramatic way, I mean it in a truthful way. It starts with honesty. And access asks, what is actually happening right now? What am I carrying? What feels heavy? What's unclear? What keeps getting pushed off? What's actually draining me? What have I been avoiding? What areas in my life feel most scattered? These steps matter because many people try to fix their lives without first assessing the real conditions of their lives. We tend to jump straight into solutions. I will uproot and uphold my whole life if I feel like I have to. But or we download or Amazon another planner. We create a totally different schedule or set another goal without even completing the first 10 that we set for ourselves. Or how about we buy another course, join another cohort, make another list. But we never stop long enough to say, what is actually happening here? And friend, you cannot align what you refuse to access or what you refuse to allow God to access. You can't organize what will what we're not being honest about. If we're not honestly looking at these things, you cannot steward what we keep avoiding either. Because access is not about shame. There's no condemnation in those that are in Christ Jesus. It's about awareness. It's about telling the truth without beating yourself up. Because clarity does not begin with condemnation. Once again, clarity begins with honesty. So here's your first question today. And hopefully you have your journals out. You guys should know by now how I roll on here. Journals out, pens up. What is actually going on? Not what should be happening, not what you wish was happening, not what looks good online or in your circles. What is actually going on? That is where alignment begins. Number two is locate. Where is the pressure coming from? So the second step, locate. Once you access what is happening, you have to locate where the pressure is actually coming from because all overwhelm is not the same. Some is coming from unclear priorities, from too many commitments, a lack of boundaries, delayed decisions. Some overwhelm is coming from trying to leave without support, or from business that has no clear offer structure, or a home rhythm that no longer fits your family's season. Some overwhelm is coming from carrying emotional weight that needs proper support, grief included, and maybe one of the most difficult ones. Or some overwhelm is coming from saying yes when wisdom said pause. And if you do not locate the source, you will keep applying the wrong solution. You'll think that you need better time management when the real issue is that you have not decided what matters most. You'll think that you need more discipline when the real issue is that your rhythm, it doesn't fit your real life. You will think that you need more content when the real issue is that your message is actually unclear. Ask me how I know. You'll think that you need to push harder when the real issue is that you need to actually simplify some things. Or you'll think that you need to start over when the real issue is that you just need structure to finish what you've actually started. This is why locating matters because a vague problem creates scattered effort, but a named problem that creates focused action. A name problem creates focused action. Vague problems create scattered effort. So here's your second question today. Where is the pressure actually coming from? Is it your calendar, your business, your home, your leadership, your relationships, your lack of systems or structure or support? or your lack of clarity around what you're trying to build. Locate it, because once you locate the pressure, you can actually stop treating everything like the problem and focus on the true issues. Number 3, identify what needs to be named. The third step is to identify. This is where we name the real issue after locating it, not the surface issue, the actual real issue. This is where you may have to say, the issue is not that I don't care, it's that I'm overextended. Or it's not that I lack vision, because a lot of us don't, but I do, or I may have too many ideas with no decision filter. Everything becomes yes. And the issue is not that I'm inconsistent. The issue is that I do not have a realistic rhythm. Or maybe it's not that your business is failing, but it may be that you have not clearly positioned what you do or who you serve. The issue may not be that I need another reset. I'm big on my resets, right? But it may actually be that I need a structure that helps me sustain what matters. This is the part that changes things, because once you identify the real issue, you stop wasting energy solving the wrong problem. And this is especially important for us that are high capacity individuals, because high capacity people often assume that we should be able to figure it out. We try to say that I should know this by now. I should be further along. I should be able to handle this. I should be more disciplined. I should not need help. But guess what? Capacity does not cancel your need for clarity. Strength, it does not cancel your need for structure. And calling does not cancel your need for support. But listen to this one, wisdom. Wisdom is not pretending that you can carry everything. Wisdom is knowing what needs to be named, ordered, and stewarded differently. So here's question number 3. What needs to be named? Name the decision, name the tension, name the misalignment, name the patterns, or name that area that keeps pulling from you, that keeps draining you, that needs attention. Because what remains unnamed often remains unmanaged. Number 4, get clear. What is the next aligned step? This is where we stop spinning and start deciding. And I want to say something very clearly and direct. Clarity is not the same as having every answer. Sometimes people delay movement because we're waiting for full certainty. And we never step forward. We never cross that line in the sand, like I like to refer to. We want to know the whole plan, every detail, and with no risk, no discomfort, no questions, but with perfect timing. And often clarity starts with the next aligned step, not the next 50, the next align, the next faithful, the next wise and practical, the next decision that brings order. This is where we need to ask, what needs to happen next? What needs to be simplified or scheduled or delegated? What needs to be paused? What needs to be communicated or released? And what needs to be built or repaired? What needs to be documented or decided? Getting clear is not about doing everything at once. It's about knowing what deserves your attention first. And for some of you, that alone would change your week. Because the issue is not that you do not have things to do. The issue is that everything is fighting for first place in your life. And when everything is first, nothing is actually first. Nothing gets done. So your next question is, what is the next aligned step? Not everything, just the next align. Number 5, normalize your rhythms. What needs to become sustainable? This is where alignment becomes a lifestyle, not just a moment, because anybody can have one good planning session, one productive day, feel motivated after hearing a good message or podcast. Anybody can make a list. But the question is, can you build a rhythm that supports your real life? Can you create a weekly operating rhythm that helps you steward what matters or normalize checking in with your capacity, reviewing your priorities, making decisions before everything becomes urgent? Can you normalize asking for support? That one was a tough one for me for some time. Or normalize not carrying everything in your head, put it down. Or how about building systems before you hit burnout? This is what many people are missing. They have moments of clarity, but no rhythm to sustain it. So they keep cycling, overwhelmed, motivated, productive, exhausted, behind, restarting, overwhelmed again. And I want to help you break that cycle, not by doing more, but by building rhythms that make alignment normal. Because peace does not come from doing less, peace comes from being aligned. And alignment needs rhythm. So the final question is, what rhythm would help me sustain what matters? Maybe it's a weekly planning rhythm, or it's Sunday evening resets. Maybe it's 15-minute daily check ins, or a monthly strategy review, a weekly content block, or family meetings. One of my favorite has become the business CEO hour. But maybe you also need a spiritual rhythm that brings you back to identity before productivity. Whatever it is, it needs to fit your real life, not your fantasy life or where you're trying to get to, your current real life, because the goal is not to create a pretty system. The goal is to create a faithful one. Now, let me tell you why this matters right now. I'm building something new around this. The Align assessment is now available. And it is the first step for the people who have been saying, I know something needs to shift, but I don't know where to start. The assessment helps you pause, reflect, and begin identifying where you may need more clarity, structure, alignment, or rhythm. And then we're also building a new school community as a place where these conversations can continue. Because I don't want you to listen to podcast episodes and then go back to carrying everything alone. I want you to have a space where you can receive teachings, tools, accountability, encouragement, and practical next steps. A place where we can talk about alignment in real life and normalize clarity and building rhythms, and a space where we can grow in faith rooted systems, strategy, and implementation together. Because isolation makes overwhelm louder, but aligned community helps you move differently. So, if you have been needing language, support, structure, and a place to keep growing, I want you to take the Align assessment and get connected to the new school community. The assessment will help you see where you are. The community will help you keep moving, and that is important because awareness without movement can become frustration, but awareness with support becomes transformation. Let me bring this home. You do not need more noise. You need alignment, and you do not need to keep collecting ideas with no place to put them. You need a structure that helps you know what belongs where. You do not need to keep carrying everything in your head. You need a rhythm that helps you steward what matters. You don't need to shame yourself for being overwhelmed. You need access, locate, identify, get clear, and normalize your rhythms. And you do not have to do it alone. So here's your invitation once again this week to take the free Align assessment. Let it help you identify what needs your attention next. Then come join us inside the new school community where we're building around clarity, structure, alignment, faith rooted strategy, and practical implementation. Because you are not just called to carry vision, you're called to steward it well. And stewardship requires clarity. Stewardship requires structure, rhythm, and it requires alignment. Before we close, I want to leave you with these 5 reflection questions. What do I need to access honestly? Where do I need to locate the real pressure? What issue needs to be identified and named? What is my next aligned step? And what rhythm needs to become normal in this season? Write them down, sit with them, pray through them, and be honest with yourself. And then take action. Not scattered action, aligned action because your next season does not need to be louder, it needs to be clearer. I'm cheering for you, and I believe in what God is building in and through your life. I also believe that with clarity, structure, alignment, and grace, you too can move forward. Take the Align assessment, join us in the school community, and let's keep building lives, businesses, ministries, and leadership rhythms that are not just full, but align. Remember, guys, Jesus loves you, and so do I. Stay blessed, and I'll see you in the next one.